Welcome to episode 3 of La Vida Entre Primas, Life Between Cousins, the podcast where we dive into everything from the ups and downs of love and life to the special bond we share as Latinas and cousins. In today's episode, we're exploring the subject of Latina guilt. Latina guilt is so real that, as you heard on our last podcast, that I literally washed my dishes before my mom came over because I'm in my own place, but in my own house. Look, it's a thing. It's live and well. It's alive and well. I don't think it's just Latina guilt. It's guilt we have, cultural guilt. Obviously, that's Latina guilt.
Let's compound that. Let's add to that Latina Catholic
guilt.
Girl,
there's Catholic guilt is so real too. I can't. But it's a thing that we have. Like, how do we overcome it? Do we overcome it, or do we just learn to live with it? Like, that's till we die.
Live with it till we die. So what does it mean to you? What does Latina guilt mean to you?
Latina guilt to me means, like, if I do something that, like, I know is not okay.
Air quotes, okay.
Air quotes.
You're 40 years old.
Okay, because I'm 40 years old. I still, like, I'm like, oh my God, like, what is my mom going to say about this? Or what is my sister going to say about this? Or what are my aunts or my cousins going to say about this? Like, it's that. But I'm, like you said, I'm 40 years old.
I have it too. And I'm older than you. I'm 41 and I live with it, like, almost every single day. Almost every single day. It's not as bad as it used to be, but, like, man, when I met my husband, when I met Chris, he would be like, why are you texting your mom? You're on your way home. You're 20 years old. I'm like, you know that, like, the meme that's going around, like, I'm just a 20-year-old teenager.
Me,
like,
I'm just a baby.
I'm just a baby.
I'm just an itty bitty baby. Yeah.
For me, it means, like, showing up. So, like, I have 3 kids, and I live a little bit ways away from all my family. We all kind of live spread out.
Yeah.
A big one for me is, like, showing up. Like, when we have family functions, sometimes I have FOMO, but sometimes, like, I just gotta go. And Chris is like, why? You're exhausted. Like, and I'm like, I don't know. I just have to go.
Because it's what we do.
Dude, like, I'm like, I have to take a gift. Like, if I were to, I always tell people, like, if I were to take a gift that was wrapped with a bow and a card, I would finally be the daughter my mom always wanted. But I just can't do it. I just can't. Like, I try so hard. But, like, for me, it's like showing up, having fear of your parents and elders where there's no fear. Like, I don't know. Like, there's nothing to fear. Like, I don't feel. We put it on ourselves.
100%.
Like, we missed out on a ton of stuff, I'm sure, in our lives because we're like, oh no, my mom's going to be mad.
Oh my gosh. We talked about it in our last episode how integral Nana was in our lives. Like, even to this day, I'm like, dang, my Nana would be pissed if I did that. Like, my Nana would be pissed. Like, I have a friend whose dad is sick right now, and I sent him a card. Like, I handwrote a card, and I was like, in my head, I was like, ooh, muy cumplida. Like, check.
It feels good, though.
Like, it feels good for sure. Like, but, like.
This man's like, who is this? Oh, who is this? Who is this card from? I don't know this woman.
No, they know who.
They do? Okay.
No,
okay,
yeah. It's someone I grew up with. Yeah. So, like, they knew, and they were thankful for the card. But, like, and it's not even about being thankful. Like, it's what you do
it.
Right? Like, it's just what you do. Like, I don't know. Like, I think, remember that one time, people only die once, Alma? Remember when Theo Renato died? Mm-hmm. And you and I were like,
24-hour turnaround.
We need to go. Like, how can we not go? I think I also had guilt from not going to Tia Melita's funeral because I was in college. I had, it was just a lot of different things that I financially, emotionally probably too, like, I couldn't go just because of how close we were to her. Like, I don't know. But I think when Theo Renato died a couple years later, like, Steph and I drove on a Friday evening. We left at like 2:00 in the afternoon.
10 hours there.
10 hours there.
Fell asleep when we got there.
Yeah.
Woke up, went to the funeral, left the funeral, got in the car, drove back.
That was what we did. But then again, we were like, cool, we did what we needed to do. Like, we were there for family. Yeah. I don't think we felt guilty at that point in time.
I lost my underwear that day somewhere in Ceci's house. I don't know where they went. They had been sat on for like 14 hours.
You just threw them away?
I don't know where they went. I lost them. I woke up. No, like, I changed. I was like,
Whoa,
These are
this,
spicy.
I mean, we ain't even
These are
we're
spicy.
barely 5 minutes in.
I didn't use a bad word, but listen,
Okay.
I could never find them. I couldn't find them. They're gone. I'm sorry if you found them. Yeah, that was a long.
I mean, it's just, but it's because we felt like, and again, I don't think we felt like we had to. I think in our hearts we knew that like it was the right thing to do, and we were forever grateful to be there for our family during that time, during that difficult time. But like, if we didn't do it, I think that guilt would have been there of like, you didn't go, but yet you could have made an effort to go.
Yeah, I know. It's real. It's real. I also think a lot of it has to do with the traditional family roles. Because if you think about it, our family's like pretty traditional and pretty, like, dude, you want to talk guilt? The fact that I didn't get married in church haunts me to this day.
The fact that I did get married in the church and I'm no longer married haunts me till this day.
I think God would have wanted you to exit that union. I mean, we'll get to that in the next episode. But I think like that brings me guilt. I was like, dude, my grandma never saw me get married in church. That was rough. Yeah, but I mean, it's not the end of the world, and I'm trying to change it for my kids. I'm trying to make it so that they don't feel that kind of guilt. But I do find myself sometimes impressing it upon them. Like we'll get into it later. But yeah, I'm trying to break that cycle for them. I would love to know. Have you had friends talk about their examples of like their guilt that they have?
I don't think so. Not really. Like, and that's
when someone doesn't give a crap.
Right?
Just like, I don't care.
I'm like, how do you not care what your mom is gonna think? Like, how do you not care what like your family is gonna say? I don't know. I think because
like when I met Chris, he'd be like, "I'm not going, Mom," and I'm like, "What are you telling your mom you're not going?" Because I'm not going, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" And he adores his mom.
Right.
He was like, "But I'm not going. I'm not understanding why I'm gonna pretend that I want to go when I don't want to go." And I'm like.
But you just go. Like, I don't know. You just go. You just do it. Like, I don't is it because of how we were raised? Like,
I don't know, but I haven't gone to Thanksgiving for the last couple of years at Nino's for the sole fact that it takes me 4 free weeks to get there. And every year I'm like...
And there's always so much
shaking
traffic.
my boots to tell my mom. I'm like, and I always make excuses where I'm like, well, it's far. And then like, I can tell my mom's like, just
it's
don't
fine.
go. Like,
it's fine.
That's rough. So let me ask a question. So growing up, what expectations did you feel from when you were a child? Do you remember feeling like guilt from, like, I mean, expectations from your family, from your community?
I don't think, see, here's the thing. Like, I think, oh God, this is so weird to talk about. Like, I didn't realize what we were really getting into when we were starting this podcast. Now that we're actually like recording episodes, I'm like,
Mom, you really effed me up. I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, I'm just kidding.
We're just kidding.
Mom, we love you so much. But like, I think for me, it's like the fact that like, as a teacher, right, expectations were not clearly set. So then you kind of felt, or I kind of felt like, oh man, I can't do this because we never talked about if I can have a boyfriend or not in high school. Or I can't do this because I'm supposed to be going to this with my family. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes
like,
sense.
I don't feel like clear expectations or like communication or conversations were there. Like, hey, like it's okay if you like want to have a boyfriend in high school. Here's what I expect, or here are my guidelines.
Yeah. Because a lot of what happens in families like ours, and we talked about this in the last episode, it's the lack of communication and being able to effectively communicate issues or conflict or difficult conversations. We just avoid them. Like, of course I can't have a boyfriend. Of course I can't go on a trip with my boyfriend because I'm not married. Of course I'm like...
Of course I can't live by myself.
I'm just a baby.
I'm just a baby.
Of course you can't.
Like, you just... And also because, like, you don't do those things, right? Like, you don't see...
You wore a halter top to church for your quince. How about that?
You what?
You wore a halter top to church for your quinceañera.
I had a little shawl. Relax. I can find those photos later for you. My mom still has them up in her bedroom. Don't you worry. It's just... And I don't want to blame Grandma. Like, I don't want to blame Nana.
I mean, it could be Nana's fault. It's alright. R.I.P. Nana.
R.I.P. We love you.
We miss you.
But like... Did she have those conversations that maybe our parents didn't, or our moms in particular?
I don't know, that's a good question.
Obviously didn't, I don't know if I don't think I'm explaining myself.
I know what
correctly
you're
right
saying. Like if Nana didn't teach them how to have those conversations, then how could they know to teach them to us?
Right. Can't tell you. I'm trying to think if I vividly remember Nana ever telling me she loved me.
Okay. I have gotten into this with my mom. I guarantee you Nana never said that she loved you. She never told me, but we
Okay, then I take it back. I vividly remember that Nana told me that she loved me and that I was her absolute favorite. It only took 3 episodes for one of us to claim favoritism.
Listen.
Although you and I both know we were not the favorite. Our producer, might claim that spot.
Well, she almost died. Hello.
All right, we'll give her a free pass.
Let me tell you. I have had this conversation with my mom. I want to preface this by saying I know my grandma adored me and all of my cousins because we all felt like favorite.
Yeah.
I know my mom loves me to death, but my mom will never come up to me and say, I tell my kids I love them 100 times a day.
Yeah.
So does Chris.
I mean, I don't have kids, but yeah, I tell your kids I love them. Like I tell my godchildren. Like,
yes. And I never remember my mom saying, oh, good morning, like, I love you. Like, it's always like, okay, love you too. Or, like, maybe not at all. And my brother told me, like, maybe 10 years ago, he's like, nobody ever told me they loved me until I left for college. I'm like, you're full of it. What are you talking about?
Ooh,
but
we're past the 10.
Okay.
We're past the 10.
Thank you so much. But then in exploring that, I'm like, oh my God, I think you're right. And I've had this conversation with my mom, and she even said when I told her, Tim told me no one ever said that they loved him. She's like, probably not me, but like Dad for sure. And it's so weird. Like I'm close to my mom, but like it's like, and I'll tell you, I'm sorry, I'm like going off on a tangent, but like when Sophie would get sick when she was little,
yeah,
she would always want to go with my mother-in-law. I'm like, why do you want to go with Ita? But like my mom is nurturing and caring, but like my mother-in-law would like be like, I love you so much, I love you so much. Like I think it matters.
I think it matters too.
I think it matters.
In college, just to like go off that, I have one of my best friends. You know, she's like, she noticed that like whenever I talk to my mom, she'd be like, why aren't you ending your call with I love you? I was like, because who says that? Like, we don't do that. She's like, just one day, just be like, at the end of your conversation, just randomly tell your mom you love her. Like, right before you hang up, just be like, I love you. And see how your mom responds. And I did, because my friend was there, obviously, right? I did, and my mom was like, I like,
are you okay?
Yeah. She's like, you good? Like, who girl? She's like, you good? Like, she's like, I love you too. I was like, okay. And then I hung up, and my friend was like, yo, so how'd that feel? And I was like, awkward as fuck.
Weird.
Excuse my language. But it was just weird because we'd never said it. So, like, I don't know how we went off on this tangent.
No, but I think
that has to do with grandma.
Like wanting to get that gratification and feel that love. And how do you feel it? By performing or behaving in a certain way, being a good Catholic girl.
Girl, I did nothing wrong growing up.
You were a good kid.
I was a good kid.
You were a good kid.
I may have.
You were.
There might have been some things, but we're not going to go there. But I was a good kid because I was afraid of getting in trouble because of that guilt. I didn't want to get in trouble because then my mom's going to be mad at me, then grandma's going to be mad at me. Like, it was a trickle-down effect of, like, all these people are going to be mad. But that's just what I internalized because the reality of it was my mom really going to be mad at me? Maybe for a little bit, but...
My mom literally told me once I wanted to go on a trip, and I was like, well, I didn't go because, and she's like, she literally told me, you put these constraints on yourself. Like, if you would have asked me, I don't think I would have cared. And I'm like, oh my God. So I don't even want to think about how much stuff I missed out on my life because I was too scared.
Dude, I would do the same thing. Like, oh, she's not going to let me go. Or like, oh, no, that sounds stupid. Like, I can't do that.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard. I also think when it comes to Catholicism, do you know I used to wake up at night and be like, I'm going to be in hell. Like, and I'm not saying like we were raised in the church, and I'm not talking about like to the point where we were raised in the church and we went to Catholic school. And so like every day we did religion and we went to mass a couple times a week on a Sunday. And then like, did we go to mass in school?
You know
no,
what?
We didn't.
I don't think we had
We
weekly.
went on Sundays.
We went Sundays for sure. I don't think
because every class did a mass on Sunday. Remember?
Oh yes.
We sat in the front pew.
Yeah.
But now the kids go during the week. But like that religion will influence you. Oh, deeply.
Deeply. Are you kidding me? I didn't when I was married. We'll talk in a soon episode. When I got married, I didn't live with my ex before we got married.
Me and Chris didn't either.
Why didn't I? I'll tell you why. Could have saved me from getting married, but I didn't because I didn't want grandma to be mad at me. That's not what you do.
Stupid?
Huh?
Did he think that was stupid?
Oh, 100% he thought that was stupid. 100%. He was like, what are you talking about? How are we going to know? I was like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Like, but that's another episode.
But it tells you this, like, well.
But it goes on to that guilt, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't want grandma to be mad at me. But we all knew deep down that grandma would be mad. Our parents.
And she wouldn't talk, and she would give you the cold shoulder. I'm convinced, let me tell you, I don't know if this is true or not. We talked a little bit about my grandma's house being remodeled in 2001. So I think that was when I was going through like my phase of kind of like doing my own thing and being a little bit wild. I got a lot of things pierced, got a lot of tattoos, and I pierced my labret that year. That's like the one that's just under your lip. And she was supposed to move in with us because they were going to remodel her house, and she ended up going to live with Aunt Pete.
Oh yeah.
And it was right up the hill. But I was convinced, she was so mad at me that I pierced my lip, that I pierced my labret, that I was convinced, I'm like, she didn't come live with us because I pierced my lip. And she's so mad at me. She was livid.
Really?
Girl, I hid my tattoo. You know, we'll have to have Lisa talk about hers.
And Michael.
I hid my tattoo till the day that she died. The day that I took my shirt off. This one.
Oh.
The day I would be wearing a sweater in the sweltering heat because I was so scared.
That's why I got my first tattoo where I did.
Where is it?
My back.
Oh. No, I'm just kidding.
My lower back.
I took off my sweater for the first time the day that she died because I had on a tank top.
Ooh.
I was going to put my sweater on.
Right.
And my mom said grandma passed, and I like ran in with like just my tank top. That was the first time
Dang,
ever.
you didn't even wait like hours.
Well,
you were
Lisa
like,
would walk around with the house with one what?
One sock.
One sock.
One sock. My brother would come out of the shower with a towel over his shoulder.
Brilliant.
I mean, and clothes obviously on
Brilliant.
the bottom, but like.
No, his dog hanging out, but a towel over his shoulder.
Just put a towel over his shoulder because he has a tattoo on his shoulder, and so she wouldn't see it.
Oh my god.
But then now we both have tattoos in her memory. She would.
Oh my god.
She would love us for
Oh
that.
my god, that's hilarious.
There might have been some Catholic guilt on that, or some Latina guilt on that too.
100%. Where would you get tattoos?
People were like, she would hate tattoos. Why are you getting a tattoo when you're on it?
Judge Elson so bad. We're like, Nana, why would you get a Nana tattoo? And then we both went on to get tattoos. Allison is an example of someone who doesn't give a fuck. Allison's like, I'm gonna do me. And I'm always so jealous of her where I'm like, Allison, give me some of that.
Right.
How do I just like live my life?
Right.
Allison's like, I can't go. Sorry, bitch. And I'm like, damn.
Why can't I just say no?
Oh no, teach me some of your ways.
Teach me.
Allison is another prima. She's a mom of 4. Sheesh.
4.
And yeah, she's doing her thing. But hopefully we'll have her on at some point to talk.
Oh
about
man,
her
we
own
gotta
life.
give her the 10.
She's a wild.
She's the wild one out of all of us, I think.
Dude, I can't. She needs to come on. I can't tell her story.
No, yeah, we can't tell her
My God,
story.
they are many.
All right, back to this guilt that we have, Steph.
Did anything happen to you at Catholic school?
What
Did you ever get in bad trouble? In
No.
terms of like the Catholic guilt.
I mean, not going to mass on Sundays. Like, I sometimes feel guilty about that. Okay,
You're pretty good. Stop it.
I feel
You're
guilty.
Guadalupana.
Who doesn't even go to that church regularly? I go to a different church regularly.
Shut
I'm just a
up,
Guadalupana
yes.
during October through December.
Listen, a priest told me once when I went to confession,
Oh my
he said,
gosh.
do you go to church every Sunday? And I was like 12, and I'm like, well, no, like sometimes my parents are tired and they don't wake up. He's like, what's wrong with you? Why don't you come? And I was like, I don't know what I did. That should jack me up.
Were they at OLG?
No, it was at St. Francis. He was so
Okay.
mean, and it really messed me up. I just,
Sorry if you hear me drinking Gatorade.
jeez. Yeah, I don't, it really messed me up. That was like something that I remember, like, why are you so mean? Like, I don't have a, and you know, Father Tess, the pastor
Yeah.
at Sacred Heart, he always says, like, I don't make the kids feel guilty. They don't have a license. They don't have a car. They can get themselves here. But I just feel like Catholicism is already such a, how do I say? Okay, let me just tell you. the guilt runs deep. So Valentina made her first reconciliation the year before last, which is the 2nd grade. And they had to do the like, my fault, my most grievous fault, and pound their chest, pound their breast, right? And I think...
Do they not do that every Sunday in Mass?
They do, but I mean, like, they had to learn to act of contrition, and they had to do it, like, in front of Father Tess.
Oh.
And I know Jewish people have kind of, like, the same thing. But I'm like, Chris was like, this is stupid. What could a 2nd grader have done that she needs to pound her chest and, like, beg for forgiveness from her brothers and sisters? And I'm like, I know, like, and so I was like, some of it's like a rite of passage, right? It's just something that we do, but it seems a little intense. And then, like, if you see, like, Jesus is like, I'm looking at you, I'm bloody motherfucker. Ooh, is it 10 minutes?
It's been 20, we're good, but you're also talking about...
I'm sorry. I'm bloody, I got holes in my hands, and I'm looking at you. Why are you eating a snack in church, even though you're a toddler and it's not age appropriate? It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure.
It is. And I think that's why, though, I mean, again, I'm not a mother, but I think that's why
You're a lot teacher. You literally have more kids than me.
But I think that's why a lot of parents don't take their children as kids, because they feel the guilt of, I don't want to ruin someone's experience at Mass.
I feel it all the time. It makes me sweat, Alma. You know, Alma baptized my son, Christopher. He's so sweet. He's 4. But, like, he is so wild. And he has a vast vocabulary. And I feel guilty because people are trying to pray and they're trying to enjoy their time in Mass, and he's 4. And
but again, age appropriate.
They don't have a crying room in Sacred Heart.
Crying rooms shouldn't.
They shouldn't exist?
I don't think crying rooms should exist.
Bless you.
That's making them feel more guilty for bringing their kids to Mass. Now, exclude them into a soundproof room so that we don't hear them. Like, but yet.
That lady with Down syndrome who used to gag at church all the time. Do you remember?
She used to sit in front of us every Sunday.
Curls.
Yes, glasses. Yes. I don't know what happened to her.
Oh my god.
She used to sit in front of us because, okay, tell me, when you go to church, don't you like sit in the same pew every time or like same area?
Yeah.
So like we would always sit at OLG, left side, maybe like 5 or 6 rows from the back.
Yeah.
And yeah, this family would always sit like 1 or 2 rows in front of us, and oh gosh, I don't do well with sick. Like I don't do well with throw up. Do anything you want in my classroom. I'm passing out again. Like I don't know. I haven't had any medical emergencies in my classroom, but like don't throw up. I will throw up with you.
Honestly, that was the worst. Okay, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What about Latina guilt and gender roles? You have a brother and a sister. How do you feel that plays out in gender roles?
The guys don't have guilt
at all.
If Michael were to be sitting here, now I'm just throwing my siblings' names out here. Sorry.
Another one of my compadres. Shout out, Michael.
If you wanted to be anonymous, not anymore. I mean, if Michael was sitting here, like, he'd be like, what are you guys even talking about? Like, he moved out when he was 18.
Mm-hmm.
He moved out, like, after high school. Like, he was out on his own, like, attempted that for a little bit. Like, he would go no problem on, like, vacations with his... Sorry, I don't know if I'm sharing too much right now or not.
His wonderful wife who we love.
I know, I'm so sorry.
Edith is a blessing in our lives. Shout out to Edith. You have really like brought us so much joy in our family, and I've never been happier to like adopt someone into our family.
Oh, 100%.
And she really taught us how to empower ourselves too.
Oh, 100%.
Oh my gosh. In a way that's respectful, like, maybe that's not okay. I'm like, what do you mean?
Girl, if Edith was not in our life, I'd still be living at home.
Edith is the best. But yeah,
But yeah, he would have gone no problem if, whoever or whatever, like, and he'd be like, all right, cool. So yeah, it does affect, I think, the females more in our family and in our culture because, man, oh God, the biggest guilt though.
What?
The biggest guilt. Grandma tried to guilt me. This should be for the next podcast.
What is it?
Grandma tried to guilt me when my ex-husband decided that, like, he wanted to separate. It was, like, December. It was, like, days after my birthday, as we'll talk in the next podcast. But, like, and when I finally told her, like, a week later, she straight up was like, you're going to leave him cold. Like, you took everything. Like, he has no blankets.
What?
And I was like,
you have never told me that.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
like, I took the panini press tubage. I took it all.
I think I still have that in the garage. I should bring that
fought over that damn.
Actually, my what'd you say?
Remember you fought over that panini press? He's like, you leave it. You're like, I'll take my panini press.
Taking my panini press. Dude, fun fact.
Have
Whoever
you ever
bought
made
me,
another panini?
whoever, no, I never made a panini. I just knew he wanted it. We're digressing on this Latina guilt, but again, she tried to make me feel guilty because she was like, "You took everything." I was like, "Yeah, I took everything," and she's like, "He's gonna be so cold. He's not gonna have any blankets." I was like, "Oh, you trust me? You got to listen to the next podcast for all those details." I was like, "Oh, you trust me? He's gonna be all right."
He'll be fine. And a testament to our family, like we're saying, we need to rebuild this trust and this love. We all went to her apartment and we're like, "Oh, we're packing all this shit up."
Do you remember? Oh, we got to save that for the next one.
Okay.
We digress.
I did not know she did that to you.
Oh, she straight up was like, "He's gonna be so cold. You took the blankets, like you took everything," and I was like, "Yes, I did take everything." She's like, "Pobrecito, ¿qué va a hacer?" And I was like, "Oh." I was like,
"Listen,
he made his bed, let him lay in it. Just saying.
Blanket free.
Blanket free.
With just a fitted sheet.
Mattress and a fitted sheet.
Mattress and a fitted sheet.
You figure that out. So it stems from like that too? Like,
so yes, and culturally I think like not just the guilt but placing value on certain things. Because I remember when around the time that I was getting married, you and Lisa, who are like amazing, they got their master's degrees together.
Mm-hmm.
And my nana was like very much excited that I was getting married. I'm like excited that they were getting their masters too, but I remember there was a lot of emphasis being put on like, but you're getting married. I'm like, they're getting master's degree. This is like so much more important, but like it's a cultural thing.
Right. That's
like
just
a generational thing.
You're supposed to get married, have kids.
I can't believe she said that.
Oh, she's straight. Oh, yeah. Kitchen table, the round table, similar to what we're sitting at now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I was like, really? Like, this is what you're going to tell me right now? Like, I'm going to let the poor guy die? Like, because he's going to freeze to death? Like, I'm confused.
He's going back to 29 pounds. He'll be fine. He'll welter in no time.
He can figure it out.
Oh, my God.
But it goes back to that and the gender roles and how important that is. Like,
yeah. My brother does not care either. My brother went to
He's
school.
been gone for how long?
My brother lives in New York. He is in the band that does our intro music. They're amazing. You should check them out again. Shout out Imaginary Tricks. He left for Boston, and then he got his undergrad degree there from Berklee College of Music, and then went on to NYU. And now he lives in New York full time. Like, not a care in the world. Like, sometimes I'll be like, can you please call your parents? Can you please call your, like... And it's not that he doesn't care. He's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's living his life. And it's just like...
Shout out to Tim, who was the first cousin who came over to my apartment.
Love it.
Yeah, he was in town when I got my place, and
He's so happy for you.
he came over.
But yeah, he has no guilt. He had no guilt to leave, like to go away to college, which he shouldn't. Like,
Nobody should. Let's be real. Nobody should.
But it is definitely, and I remember my dad also saying, like, I remember being upset where my dad wouldn't let me do certain things, and my dad was straight up, like, not sugaring it anyway, sugarcoating.
Yeah.
I'd be like, why does Tim get to go and I can't drive myself? He's like, nobody's gonna pull him over and try to like assault him and rape him. Like, if you get a flat, you know. So I think a lot of it comes from like wanting to protect us, but like. A little bit is...
But then do you feel with that protection you were maybe... I mean, I don't think... Huh?
Oh, no, what?
I was going to say sheltered.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
for sure. I was definitely sheltered. I mean, I don't know. My parents were pretty open.
But yeah, that's why when I was saying, I was like, your parents were probably one of the most open. I think for me, I felt a little sheltered. Going to an all-girls Catholic school.
For sure.
Going to, then going to...
I will say going from Catholic school to public school was like, whoa. Like...
Right?
We're talking about sex on this?
I think we can.
Okay. If you're my kids, turn it off.
Sophia, we're talking to you.
Turn it off. The first day that I got to high school, I was 14. I went from St. Francis of Rome to Sacred
South Hills.
South Hills. Some girl was talking about how her boyfriend finger banged her. She was like 15, also freshman older, and I was like, "What does that mean?" I'm like, "Bangs like your hair." She's like, no, she explained it to me, and I was like, "Oh my
blown.
God!" Elma, I was like, "You let him do what?" Like, I was like, I couldn't even like. My mind was. Yeah. And furthermore, I feel like my parents were very open. But speaking about like being at Catholic school with Latinas, and do you remember the gosh darn it, Israel and their Sandra? They were like a family at the church. They were like gosh darn it. Anyway, none of I was friends with them, but they were like a group of these little like Mexicanitas. Like they were like hardcore like.
Were they a big family?
Yes. And they were like, just out there, like, they talked about anything. Anyway, I come home one day, and my mom was, like I said, pretty open, but like, I come home one day, I'm in 4th grade. I sit down at the dinner table, we're like full on eating dinner. I'm like, do you know what Sandra said? She's crazy. She said girls bleed from their vaginas once a month for like a week. I literally was like, isn't that crazy? And like, pin drop. My parents are like, oh. My dad's like, it's time for you to talk to her. So then my mom, like, that turned into a whole other thing. But like, that's part of it. Like,
right.
Am I ready to talk about this? Do I feel like talking about this? It's like a thing that's like,
yeah.
I don't know, guilt about sharing information or feeling like maybe we're, what is it called? Adultification of our daughters too fast. Talking about things.
Yeah.
I think that's a big gender thing that plays into guilt. Like, do I talk about sex? Do I talk about my body? Am I realistic about wanting to have sex before marriage? Because that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Are we parading around this? Like, oh no, I never did it. Like,
I told you I was a perfect person, Steph. Just kidding. I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. If my students heard me saying that I'm a perfect person, they'd be like, nobody's perfect except for God.
You were pretty close.
People thought I was going to become a nun.
My mom was going to be a nun before she met my dad. And he took her on those
Lincoln
Park dates to see dead people on benches. Yeah. Okay. What about
have you? Oh, what were you going to ask me? Do you feel that you've ever like contributed to somebody's guilt?
100%.
Really?
For sure. And a lot of it comes out of like that Catholic guilt. So I have someone, I'm not even gonna say what the relation is to me because I don't want them to be a prima, but I'm just gonna.
I think some people who are listening to our podcast speak Spanish, and they probably just heard you say that. It's okay, go on.
Anyway, she's a prima. And
I mean, all our listeners are primas.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Can be blood, cannot be blood. I got you, girl.
So she, a long time ago, had multiple abortions back to back. And I just want to put this out there. It's something we talk about, typical. You know, Alma works for a Catholic school. I have young children. I can speak for myself, and my thoughts and my views are my own, that I am pro-choice. Like, I think a woman has a right to make her own decisions. But at this particular time, I did feel that way, but I still had a lot of that like guilt in me where it's none of my business what someone wants to do with their body. The church feels a different way. I will say my mom did tell me once when she was on birth control, because technically if you're Catholic, you're not supposed to be on birth control.
Fun fact.
God's going to give you, right?
You want me to throw something out there?
Yeah.
Working for Catholic school, birth control is not covered even if you need it for medical reasons.
Wild.
Not having to do with premarital sex.
Wild.
Not covered on your health insurance.
Yes, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So my mom, I remember asking my mom, like, well, why did you take birth control?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, because the Catholic Church is going to pay for my 10 kids. And I can't afford to have 10 kids. And I don't want 10 kids. So back in the day, she had...
There's that Catholic guilt.
Yes. So she had multiple abortions, which is none of my business. And I remember, like, feeling compelled to beg her. And mind you, I was in my teenage years. Like, don't do it. Like, I'll do the calculation. She's like, I don't know whose kid this is. I don't know. And I was like, I'll help you figure out, like, who it was. And you can do it. Yeah. And she was like, no. And she did what she was going to do. And that's fine. That's, like, her decision. But, like, it, like, crippled me. And I was, like, making her feel like crap. Like, oh, you're awful. Like, why would you do that? And I feel terrible. And she wasn't even Catholic. She had, like, her own religion. Like, she's like, this doesn't have nothing to do with me, lady.
Right.
Now I feel differently, but I also feel like I have made people feel bad. And I just don't want my kids to feel that way. I am not living in, what do I say? I don't live in La La Land. My kids will probably have sex before they're married. If they don't, great. If they do, like, I prefer for them to be educated. The world is such a scary place.
Oof. It's so scary.
That like I don't want to have discussions about my children when they're older and their sex lives.
Right.
But I do want them to come to me if they have questions instead of trying to figure it out or have some stupid kid like teach them what they think they know.
Right.
You know, and scare them. So yeah. How about you? Do you think you made someone feel bad?
I probably have, but definitely unintentionally. Like I don't think it's something where I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna make you feel bad about this decision because. The bottom line is that everyone's going to make the choices that they need to for themselves, whether they, want to do, I don't know. But then again, it takes me back that, like, I feel guilty for that person. Like, like, oh my gosh, you just did what? Like, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I feel so bad for you.
Secondhand guilt. I feel so bad that you did that stupid thing. I feel so bad that you made that bad decision.
Now that you told me, like, I feel so bad. Like, you know what I mean?
Your mother thing.
Is that even a thing?
It is a thing. Secondhand embarrassment is a thing. I'm sure secondhand guilt is a thing.
I've never thought of it that way, I guess.
Oh, no, but I have like a deep, deep question for you. Ready? And both of us are going to feel some feels about this. You ready? Have you ever felt guilt about not feeling Latina enough? And I want to preface this by saying if everybody here knows us.
And if you found us, welcome to the podcast.
Yes, welcome. If you saw us walking on the street, you would not think that we were Mexican, American, Chicana. You would not. If my mom looks like, our moms look like the whitest women on earth. And so Alma's got like blonde hair, blue eyes. Like I have darker features, but still we're incredibly white passing.
Yeah.
And my husband, who I love dearly, big old bigote, Mexicano, like he's very Americanized. He's first gen, but like he always clowns me like, oh my God, you're not really Mexican. You're not really Mexican. And I do feel like we have this deep connection to our Mexican roots that we made tamales with our grandma. She taught us how to cook, you know, all of the Catholic Mexican intersection, those things that intersect.
Right.
But I do still struggle with feeling like I am Latina enough that like,
100%.
no, I am who I am. And you can't tell me who I am.
100%. And that goes back to, for me, like, I haven't talked much about it yet on the podcast, but like, I was raised in a single family home, right? Like my father was not in the picture, and that's where I get my light features from. And also my mom's pretty fair skinned. Like if I'm meeting someone for the first time, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm Mexican. They're like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, but I am. Like my family's from
no, you're not.
Huh?
That infuriating when someone
I hate it.
No,
Like,
you're
don't
not.
tell me what I am. I know what I am. I know how I was raised. You know, and so for me, I also taught Spanish for 13 years. So having parents come in to my classroom and they're like, you're my daughter's Spanish teacher? I'm like, yeah, and I'm Mexican. They're like, no, you're not. I was like, no, but I am. My family's from Nogales, Sonora. Like, I'm qualified for this job. Thanks so much for believing in me. It's not just because of the color of my skin, whether I can speak Spanish or not, or if I'm actually Mexican or not. And so I think because growing up, though, in a single family home where I was only immersed in our culture, like that's kind of like the only culture I know, right? So I think for me, like I feel very connected to it, but then also like when people see me at like Day of the Dead events or, you know, something celebrating.
Cultural appropriation. What about that makeup white girl?
Exactly.
You're like, soy mexicana.
Pero sí hablo español. I mean, even parents right now at the school that I'm at, like they're like, and so what I've started doing is like the ones who know, like I start speaking to them in Spanish.
I heard what you were saying. Tell me shit.
Oh, girl,
Tell me, sorry.
That happened. Oh my God.
Tell me.
Some parents were talking about me in Spanish, and I was like, I was on gate duty, and like I heard them, and then so when they started walking away, I would make sure to say bye to them in Spanish.
Adios, amigas. What'd you say?
I was like, hasta luego, tiene un buen día. Oh, dude, I pulled it all out. Like it wasn't just like adios. Like no, I was like the accents coming out and everything. And I love the families at my school. Don't get me wrong, but like,
did they die?
Huh?
Did they die? Were they like,
Oh, they were like, oh my gosh, like, did that really just happen?
Sorry.
And I was like, yeah. It's a bummer, like, but don't tell me who I am.
I feel a lot of pressure to maintain our cultural roots, and I feel like it's interesting because Chris's parents, while Americanized, they're a lot more like connected to Mexican culture in the sense that like they don't speak the language, and like my mother-in-law really used a lot of like Mexican holistic. She goes to the doctor in Tijuana, and she believes in Mexican medicine. When she was babysitting my daughter, watching my daughter when she was Sophia, when she was first born, like I would see her doing a lot of like cultural Mexican. How do I say? Like if it was a really hot day, she'd put her in like a bath with lechuga. Like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, it helps cool them down. It helps keep them like calm and cool. And I was like, that's crazy. Or when she was first born, she put on, I'm sorry, Vida, I love you. You're my road dog, but she put an ojo de venado on her for like the evil eye. Or the, what is it called? What is it called? When they give you the evil eye or they give you the... Anyway,
Sorry,
you know,
but I know
local
what you're talking
to
about.
give them
To get the spirits away from them, or like
what's it called? The ojo. Anyway, the evil eye. So she puts on this like bead necklace on her, and I take her to see my dad, and my dad's like, "What is this? Witchcraft? This is." He grabs it, he like rips it off of her, the beads go flying everywhere. My dad's like, "This is a choking hazard, right?" So that's the cultural divide.
I mean, yeah.
Yes. But I remember Nana would always say, "Yo no creo en esas tonterías. Yo nomás creo en Dios."
Right.
And listen, I have a foot in each. But yeah, there's a lot of guilt in like feeling who I am and telling people who I am. I am who I am, and I find myself judging other people who are not as Latina. I'm making air quotes as me, being like, whatever, you're totally like 8th generation. What do you know? I find myself doing that. Do you do that? I do. I don't like it, and I have to like catch myself and be like, bro, you're not like.
I don't know if I do. To be honest, I'm just trying to survive right now. Like, it's the start of the school year. Like, it's the start of the school year. I'm just trying to, survive and get by.
For my life out here. I get it. I feel you.
Let's see.
I guess that brings us to mental health.
Oof. Mental health, guilt, like mental health in terms of like how it affects our mental health.
Yeah.
Ooh, girl. That is, that's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tough because I'm very open and honest, I think. I like to think that I'm very open and honest. But I've been on meds for my mental health, for anxiety and depression for about...
No shame in it.
4 years. Since 2020, since COVID. I've been on it. And, like, I've had people ask me, like, but is it really helping you? Like, what is it really doing for you? And I'm like, I swear it's helping. But so, yeah, like it's, I do, like, did I feel guilty for being on it? Like,
oh my God.
Maybe?
I
don't know.
No,
like,
because mental health is a thing. That's another Latina guilt where it's like, oh no, we don't go to therapy. And I've heard that like regurgitated all the time. So I'm like, is that really what but it is. It is very much a taboo of like, you don't need to be telling your business, you don't need to be on meds, And I'll tell you, like, I have been on meds ongoing. I'm not on any right now, but I have been for like the majority of my adult life. And I was in therapy by the 4th grade. Like I was a nervous kid. I've always been a nervous kid. When I finally went to therapy or psychologist, when after I had Sophie, the woman, Chris was there with me, and the doctor was like, how have you lasted as a person who's so anxious for so long without medication? I was like, I don't know, I just like tough it out. Chris was like, you've been smoking weed like almost the whole time, and then I know you. I don't anymore, but like, he's like, you're self-medicating every single night. And I'm like, oh my God, right?
Right.
So I got on, I've been on everything that you can think of, antidepressants, stuff for anxiety. I stopped for a while, but Aunt Pete passing away, I won't get too deep into it, but like it really threw me into like an existential crisis. So I was on meds for a little while, but I will say that guilt will eat you away. Like I feel sick to my stomach thinking about something that hasn't even happened.
Oh God,
because I'm nervous of what like someone's gonna think.
Right, 100%. Do not send me an email on Monday at 3:30 saying,
talk about it tomorrow.
Hey, can you come by my office tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.? Because
I'm coming now, bitch. I'm coming now.
I'm gonna call, text, Instagram message my coworkers and be like, yo, did you hear anything? Like, what did I do? Like, do you know anything? Like that?
You're doing a great job.
Dude, it's the worst. It's the worst. Like, don't do it. Don't do it. Please save your overthinking friends and just man up, call them right then and there. If you have the time to send the email, you have the 5 minutes to give them a call.
That's sick. That's like sick and twisted to me.
100%. Never would I ever. Hey, let's just talk about that tomorrow.
No. I actually think like we need to encourage more open conversations about mental health with Latinos with no guilt. And the way that I try to do that, I would like to know how you do that, because I know you're very open with your students. But like, I break the ice by being like, hi. Oh gosh, I'm certifiably crazy. I'm listen.
No, those are just all the memes I send to like my best friends. Like,
I'm nuts. Thank you for being here with me. Welcome to the circus.
Yeah.
Like, you're not the only one, girl. I'm crazy too. Come on, like, spill. It's okay to not be okay.
I think to talk about it, it takes me a little bit to like own up to it, because again, it's that guilt. So I think with my like closest people that I'm like good friends with, or you know, family that I truly, not that I truly confide in all my family, but like, you know, everyone has their little cliques in our family, and so like with the people that I really confide in, like I'll sit here and be like, yeah, Steph, like so I need to tell you what happened, like X, Y, and Z, this went down. I'm really not feeling okay about this, like. But then there are some that you know you can't tell because you know they're gonna judge you, and you know they're gonna like so. It sucks.
It does.
The bottom line is that it sucks that we cannot be open and honest about that either with our, so even some of our closest family members.
Totally.
Because
you know they're gonna talk shit.
you know they're gonna talk shit. Like,
it's awful. I know, it's an awful feeling. It's an awful feeling.
And you know they talk shit because they talk shit to you about other people.
That's what I was gonna say next. That's what I was gonna say next.
So it's like, oh shit, like, and it's the same thing that, like, you know, anywhere in my life. Like, if I'm sitting with, like, a friend and they're talking shit to me about, like, another friend or, like, a coworker or family member or, like, whatever, like, I'm like, hold on. So if you're telling this to me right now, like, what are you turning around and telling so-and-so about me? Like, if you're that easy to tell me how you feel about X, Y, and Z,
you're for sure throwing me under the bus, too.
You're for
I
sure.
100% agree.
Like, so, but then how does one, like, weed those out?
I feel like I'm a really good judge of character, and I know who my people are. Like, I know who my people are. Like, sometimes it's just like a click. Like, I have...
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I know for sure, like, at work, I know who my people are. I know when to, like, zip it.
Right.
And I am a very, like, trusting... I'm an open... I hear people say I'm an open book, but okay, not open book. I am a, what's it called? A pathological oversharer.
Oh, dude, I think I overshare too.
I do so bad. And I love when people overshare with me. I'm like, girl, we are trauma dumping together. My friend, who I met, my not real friend, well, she's my real friend. I met her online. I met her for the first time like 6 months ago, and it was like so weird because we've been talking for like 2 years. We talked for 7 minutes, and she told me about her divorce. She told me about how she left her husband. She told me about all the stuff she was feeling like with her kids. She was telling me like down to that 7 minutes, and I was like, this is a match made in heaven, girl. Listen, I haven't seen her again, but I know when I see her next, she's. I'm gonna be like, I have hemorrhoids. I really want Ozempic.
Hey, primos and primas, welcome to Steph oversharing, pathologically oversharing right now.
That's all I know how to do. But yeah, I think we just have to know who our people are and trust our gut and trust God. And that sounds crazy to throw that in the mix, but like for real.
For real.
Tell me who my people are.
Yeah.
Tell me who my people are.
Tell me who my people are.
Yeah.
So then, no, go.
Well, I was gonna ask you, what do you do? What have you been doing, or what do you do to overcome that? Like, what have you been doing? Anything to help overcome that guilt? You moved out, which is like amazing. So like,
I still feel guilty about it. Ooh, a month later, I still feel guilty about it.
But look, your mom's here. She was helping you like
clean
up a little bit, clean the window, like.
Dude,
she's here.
I mean, my apartment was very clean. Okay. Since living on my own, Stephanie has known me. We digress, if you don't already know this about us, in episode 3. Stephanie has known me my whole life. I'm not the cleanest person. It's fine. I'll own up to it. But the times you've come into my house,
spotless, you could eat off the floor,
and it wasn't guilt that I need to make this clean because they're coming. It's because I have found my space that I'm like, oh, this is my space. I need to take care of this because it's my space. Like,
but that's a growth. That's the growth that like you've not avoided, but you didn't make before because you're scared to move out. Let's be real. And I'm gonna tell you,
I wasn't.
Sorry.
I don't know if I was scared. It goes back to that guilt.
Yeah.
It goes back to that guilt.
Yeah.
It really, really does.
And it's not just like single women living on their own. When I moved out, when I got married, I cried my whole first week because I was away from my parents. And then like it consumed me that my parents were like, I'm living with my husband, we're sleeping in the same bed. We be fucking. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I was like, I felt like my parents are gonna know that I'm having sex. That's crazy. But I'm like, nobody's thinking about that. But like, it's the guilt of like, I have 3 kids.
Right.
I did it at least 3 times.
I know that.
I mean, it's just like the guilt of like, oh no, now they know everything, or like,
right?
Yeah. It's all consuming.
It's all consuming, and like, but is that just for us though, or is it like? No, because there are people who don't give a fuck. Like there are people who don't care and go about their lives, like my brother, like your brother, like Ellison, like I don't know who else.
Do it.
Like, there's people who do it.
I know. Teach us your ways. Drop us a line and tell us how we can stop feeling guilty about these things.
Please.
We're obviously not doing a very good job. What would you say? So I have 2 daughters and a son, and Alma has a plethora of children at her school. And hot take, I was telling Alma and my other cousin Lisa, her sister, that I have a really strong feeling that you don't have to be a parent to be a good teacher. And part of that is they have been teachers for longer than I have been a mother. And they have a lot more tools in their toolbox. For example, my son, like I said, has a very wide vocabulary, and Alma made him a balloon animal with go. And he's like, look at his penis, it's huge. And like, she was recording on her Instagram. She literally said, it's his tail, and moved on. I would have made a big old deal. He just snapped right out of it. She has a lot more tools and a lot more skills than I have working with kids. That being said, what do you do with your kids, or do you find yourself your goddaughter? You're very close to your goddaughter.
Yeah.
What do you do? Is there anything that you're doing to help them overcome those feelings of guilt so they don't have to go through it?
I think I just like try to talk them through things. Like, just tell me. Like, I'm so far. Well, for her, right? Like, I'm so far away from her. She's out in Virginia, so I'm like, just tell me. Like, what is it that I'm gonna do for you? Like, let me help you however I can help you, being that I'm here. But like, I think it's just really trying to be like honest and open with them, and like just being like, look, just tell me. Like, just talk about it. It's fine. It's okay to talk about it. Like, you're having a hard time at school. You're like crying, or kids are being mean to you. Like, let's talk through this. Like, or you feel bad about cheating on a test. Like, tell me why you did it. Like, why didn't you just prepare for it before? Like, having those conversations of, it's okay to feel this way. Everybody feels this way. It's not just you.
Don't feel guilty about feeling your emotions.
These are your emotions. Own it.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think I do the same with my daughters. I try to let them kind of speak how they want, not speak how they want to speak, talk about their feelings how they want to talk about them. I always try to instill in them, like, when you get older, get out, like, move out. Don't feel like you can't move away.
Don't wait until Nina Alma is 40.
No.
Don't be 40. Just move out now.
You know what, get out of here now. Pack your shit and go. But when you get older...
Okay, fine. We'll wait till you're 18. Then you can pack your shit and go.
Yes. I'm like, you know what? Go to school. Don't feel guilt. We'll be fine. Also, something happened the other day with Sophia where we had to have a difficult conversation with her, and I realized I was defaulting to like being hard, right? And Chris, my husband, texted me and was like, be gentle with her. She's talking, she's opening up, and I was like, oh my god, I had to like reset and allow her to have those feelings. Don't feel guilty about how you're feeling. And what she was feeling was totally valid. It was a culmination of things that we're dealing with in our lives right now that are very difficult to navigate. And she's 12.
Yeah.
It was totally like warranted. But yeah. Okay. Yeah. This has been like a lot. I would love to hear from you. If you have any, we know that you feel guilty. We know that you're out there feeling guilty because the majority of our people on our Instagram and the people that are going to be listening are Latina. Although this is an equal opportunity podcast and all cultures are welcome. And I know that a lot of these issues that we're talking about are cross-cultural. And so you don't have to be a Latina to be here. You don't have to be Latinx. You don't have to be Latine. You don't have to identify as anything but a prima, a primo, a cousin, a prime, a primex. You're all welcome here. And we want to hear your stories.
100%. Don't forget to follow us on socials and send us emails with questions, comments, concerns. I mean, we're also overthinkers, so like your concerns, you can keep them to yourself a little bit.
Please don't hurt my feelings.
Please don't hurt my feelings. We're really just trying this because we just want to have fun and just have a space to do this. Like, I don't know.
Like, do people really want to hear us talk?
The what?
Do we really want to hear ourselves talk? Yes, we do.
We do. We love it.
We need somewhere to let it out.
We are going to get people joining us soon as guests, but for the first couple, we just thought you'd really dive deep into who we are and what we're doing. But now it's time for us to close off, Steph.
Thank you so much for coming. Don't forget to subscribe to La Vida Entre Primas. Life Between Cousins, so you don't miss an episode. We will be back next week with our next episode. This one is going to be... I'm scared.
I'm scared but a little excited because I feel like I can like fully talk freely and be like, you know what, screw you.
I can't wait. The next episode is called La Camisa Negra, exploring love, relationships, marriage, divorce, bad breakup. I put children in there, but that feels wrong. And exes. So until then, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you, and then we'll listen, we will hear you, we'll connect with you in the next episode of La Vida. Take it away.
I got you.
No sabo.
In the next episode of La Vida Entre Primas, Life Between Cousins.